Hello everyone, it's Greg from Edinburgh Renaissance Fencing Academy here. Today's video is going to be a practical training one. I'm going to give a short introduction first and then we'll go to the relevant demonstration. Okay, so the principle I want to explore today is how to enter safely into the correct distance to attack the opponent with a thrust. This is, after all, the most important action in any kind of rapier fencing. There are two of de Grassi's principles that we need to consider for this. Firstly, we have the title of his treatise, which in the original Venice edition was something like Ragioni di adoprar sicuramente l'arme, which translated into English literally means a way or method of using weapons safely or securely. And it's that aspect of the safe and secure use of the weapons that we're going to explore. And this goes together along with a phrase from later in his text where he says that you should always try to attack in as short a time as possible and always while covered. So what do these ideas of fencing securely or safely and being covered really mean? Let's go to the demonstration and find out. Okay, so here we are. This stick on the ground here represents the linea dritta, so that's the direct line, in other words, the axis of attack between me and my imaginary opponent who's in the position of the video camera today. So the problem here is if I adopt my lowered guard position, like so, we imagine the opponent is in the same stance facing me, and I launch my attack, my stoccata thrust, gather the foot forwards first, extend the thrust with the front foot. You will see that the line of attack ends directly in the middle of my torso. So this attack is not safe or secure. There is a big danger of me being struck by the opponent's sword as I close in to thrust. Now you can get away with this in training by being really fast and really aggressive. However, in a real fight with sharp swords, this is not a good idea because the threat of death from the opponent's tip at any opportunity is a very real one. So a much better way to attack is to first of all make some effort to secure yourself or cover yourself from the opponent's weapon. There are three ways we can do this. We can use a simple cover, we can find the opponent's sword, or we can beat the opponent's sword. So we'll go through these one by one. Firstly, the simple cover. So we'll imagine that I want to attack on my opponent's inside line. Rather than going straight forwards, with my gathering step, I'm going to slightly angulate my, my approach to move very slightly off of this direct line. And at the same time, I'm going to move my sword over to the straight line so that it is protecting or covering myself from my opponent. And as I deliver the attack, like so, you will see that the forte of my blade is between my body and the line of this attack. So I am now covered. And you can really emphasize or improve this cover by rotating the back hand and the back shoulder so that your body is fully profiled. So once again, the simple cover, prepare, attack. Okay, the second method is to find the opponent's sword. Now this is basically analogous to a modern engagement. So what we're going to do is use a physical pressure from our sword blade to displace the tip of the opponent's sword. I don't have a real opponent in front of me, so you'll have to imagine this a little bit, but let's use the axis of attack, the linea dritta, to help. So I'm going to make the same inside line stoccata thrust, but this time as I approach the opponent with my preparatory step, I'm going to move straight forwards, but I'm going to push the forte of my sword in front of myself. So this is going to gather in the tip of the opponent's weapon and displace it slightly to this side of the direct line. I'm then going to push my thrust home to the opponent, maintaining physical contact, so maintaining opposition with the opponent's blade, like so. So now I have maintained command of the direct line, but I've used the strong of my sword blade to push the opponent's tip out of that line, ahead of me, as I attack. So this is, once again, secure. So just to repeat this one, as I make my gathering step directly forwards, I push the forte of my sword in front of me to find the opponent's sword, physically pushing it to one side, and then attack with opposition directly along the line. Okay, the third way that we can securely attack is the most aggressive or the most offensive one, which is to violently displace the opponent's blade with a beat. And the beat is just a cut or blow aimed at the blade of the opponent. So basically, it's a more forceful version of finding the sword. So I'm going to make a little wrist cut here as I step in, and this is going to really expel the opponent's blade in that direction, creating a space here between me and my opponent, into which I can launch my stoccata thrust. So the beat, as the back foot comes directly forwards, I strike the opponent's weapon, displacing it from the direct line, and then launch my thrust into the space. Notice that I am maintaining angulation of my sword so that there is also cover relative to where the opponent's blade has ended up. Okay, so these are three ways that we can enter into striking distance with our opponent. Okay, so there you go. 3 ways to enter securely or safely and deliver a stoccata thrust to the opponent. There are advantages and disadvantages to each one. It's not 100% clear from Grassi's treatise which is his most favoured approach. So I believe that when he says you should always be covered, it basically means one of these 3 methods, and you choose whichever one seems most appropriate to the specific tactical circumstances of the bout that you find yourself in. So there we go. When you are training, especially when you are free fencing, try to remember this. Do not make random open attacks and hope for the best. Make the effort to secure the area in front of you, to somehow cover yourself from your opponent's weapon before you launch an attack. If you have not done this, it is not safe to attack and you should not do it. All right, that's all for today. See you next time. Bye.